Thank you, Dr. Dio. You want me to let the cat out amongst the pigeons, and then everybody's looking on. I have a difficult task at hand. But I do wish to raise certain issues as Harry talked of. Let this be a precursor to a healthy debate on the specific aspects contained therein. The issue which we are deliberating is whether the Electricity Act has failed to deliver to the consumer. What is it that the consumer wants is the first thing that we need to look at then. And whether it is a structural problem of the Act or a problem in its implementation. I mean, who's to decide what the consumer wants? Does he want power? Does he want free power? Does he want billing? Does he want adequate billing? Does he want consumer redressal grievance forums? Does he want, what does he want? And I don't think that Act can address that effectively. That is something which we have to objectively assess. And then see whether the Act has created the right environment, the right wherewithal for us to be able to give to the consumer what he wants. And I'm afraid that by just looking at the Act itself and trying to find solutions, we are not going to get anywhere. The government recognized that significant changes were urgently needed in the power sector in the 1990s and set forth a chain of events so as to bring about this change as effectively as possible. And the first of these was the 1991 Independent Power Producers Policy. And it was hoped that this would bring about a change in generation, a huge change in generation. Nothing happened for 10 years. None of the projects could achieve financial closure, and the project that did achieve financial closure could not sustain themselves on non-recourse or project financing because the viability of the State Electricity Board where the PPAs were being signed was in question. Along came the Electricity Act 2003, and suddenly the investment bankers, everybody realized that here was something which had huge potential, and a lot of projects got closed. I'm saying this because I remember for 3 years, the SR Hazira project, 515 megawatt combined cycle plant, could not be closed, financially closed, because GEB was not considered a credit-worthy state electricity board. 2002 to 2008, a lot of projects got closed, notwithstanding the fact that none of these, or some of these, did not have adequate PPAs. Because the investment bankers found that here was an act which could have delivered something which was an objective, but little realizing that in 2008, the distribution companies would be in a stage where the tenets of the act could never be realized. What were the significant tenets outlined in this act, as well as the 3 other documents, the National Tariff Policy, the National Electricity Policy, and the Tariff Principles? One was development of electricity industry, promoting competition, protecting interest to consumers, rationalization of tariff, ensuring transparent policies, availability of power, supply of reliable and quality at reasonable rates, financial turnaround, promoting transparency, etc. Some of the, we always talk about consumers. Some of the other tenets and guiding principles are not often looked at. Standards for reliability and quality of supply, recovery of cost of service from consumers to make the power sector sustainable. Nobody talks about this. I'm afraid. My regulator never talks about this. He's always talking about consumer tariff. Why is he not talking of recovery of cost of service from consumers? A minimum level of support for consumers, very poor category, tariffs for such designated group of consumers will be at least 50% of the average overall cost of supply. I don't think that is ever practiced. Over the last few decades, cross subsidies have increased to unsustainable levels. There was a mandate in the national tariff policy that tariff progressively reflect the cost of a supply of electricity. Tariffs are within plus minus 20% of the average cost of supply. I'm sorry. Rather than narrowing down the gap is now becoming larger and larger. Somebody will have to come out with as we've come out with a revised APDRP program, we will have to come out with a revised Electricity Act and a revised national tariff policy so as to make this a reality. It's not going to happen otherwise. There's one other tenet that is very important. The facility of a regulatory asset should be done only as exception and subject to the following guidelines. Everything. Recovery of regulatory asset should be time bound, and the use of facility of a regulatory asset should not be repetitive. I'm sorry. Delhi regulator continues to build upon the regulatory asset. From 2007-2008, it is continuing to build, including in the last tariff order that was announced yesterday. So, we are only talking of one thing, as if the regulator has put himself in the eyes of a consumer and his only concern is tariff and nothing else. And I'm sure that will defeat the act, the objectives, and all the sentiments that go with it. I am specifically raising this because there are a few other issues which I'd like to touch upon and we can continue to debate upon. Article 41 of 42 of the Electricity Act states that this is an act to consolidate the laws relating to generation, transmission, distribution, trading, and use of electricity, and generally for taking measures conducive to development of electricity industry, promoting competition therein, protecting interest of consumers, and supply of electricity to all areas, rationalization of electricity tariff, ensuring transparent policies, and promotion of efficient and environment benign policies. I mean, that's the preamble. And section 41 says that it is the onus of the distribution companies to put in place an effective distribution network which allows availability of power at affordable rates. What does this translate into? And I quote from a tariff order, or a statutory advice given by the Delhi regulator to the government of Delhi in February 2013. DERC acknowledges that it has been conservative in approving new CAPEX schemes proposed by the DISCOMs. As a result, major issues relating to modernization and upgradation of transmission and distribution network have largely remained unaddressed on account of huge funds required for the same and the potential impact that these investments would have on the tariff of electricity in Delhi. Now, I wish to ask, what is the regulator trying to say? That you reduce tariff, do not make electricity available to the large majority of people. How shall I say? Bring down the quality standards and these, because I will not allow you to spend. Why? Because the regulator does not even have a basic idea of how much is the impact of my CAPEX on the tariff. The regulator stated that they are going to allow 300 crores per year by way of tariff to me. we've shown that the way things are in the network today, we require something like 800 crores of capitalization every year to come back to normative standards by 2016-17. And the impact of that additional 500 crores per year is just 16 paise in tariff. Now, which regulator would deny that 16 paise in tariff unless the regulator does not even know what is the impact of the capitalization on tariff? One of the ills of this sector is the concurrent nature of the power sector. The Electricity Act was aimed at distancing the role of the government in determination of tariff and regulation by independent regulators. The issue is, who do these independent regulators report to? Mr. Umashankar raised this issue that he had to go to the APTEL in 2011 to secure a judgment asking the regulators to perform. But have they performed? No. What they do then is selective performance. I am not inclined to follow the APTEL. I have taken this matter to the Supreme Court in their effort to ensure that tariff is not raised. Whether it is right or wrong is not the issue. Since 2008-2009, and even earlier, Delhi DISCOMs have challenged the findings of the Regulatory Commission before APTEL, and in majority of cases, APTEL has ruled in favor of the DISCOMs, but these have not been implemented. In the last order, the regulator, which was announced yesterday, said that I'm keeping apart 600 crores towards implementation of ATE directions as and when they become due. The fact is that we have something like 2,500 crores coming to us by way of ATE directions, which have still not been even accounted for. So how is this sector going to survive? Anyway, the issue was that the divergence in fixing of costs through the Central Regulatory Commission and the state regulatory commissions is extremely pronounced. What the Central Regulatory Commission has done is that by way of giving appropriate costs, etc., it has ensured that the central public sector undertakings like NTPC, PGC, etc., are profitable. And this is brought about by the fact, aptly brought out by the fact, that the cash profit for central PSUs in 2009-2010 to 2011-2012, for just these five, NTPC, NHPC, PGCIL, SJVNL, and THDC, was a cash profit, that is profit before depreciation and taxes, was 83,138 crores. Mind you, the figure is 83,138 crores. Of course, state-run GENCOs, TRANSCOs also continue to show profit. The losses of state distribution utilities, as per Shunglu Committee constituted by PMO in FY 09 to 12, were estimated at rupees 82,266 crores. 83,000 was the net profit. 82,000 was the net loss. Money has remained within the power sector. Distribution utilities have been funding the central power PSUs. Where is the cost being passed on to the consumer? Nowhere. And why is this happening? Because the state-run regulatory commissions are afraid to pass on the costs to the consumer in an appropriate fashion. It is inescapable that costs will continue to rise. Fuel costs are rising all across the world. Today, fuel constitutes more than 80% of the cost of distribution. In the case of BRPL, for instance, my cost of fuel, and I take in power from 100% long-term PPAs.
Gopal, I think...
I'll just finish in 2 minutes.
Do not give all the details.
Yeah, I'll just finish in 2 minutes, sir. The cost of power is 86% and the cost of interest is 14%. So all my tariff is going towards working for the long-term producers or for the banks. I don't seem to be working for the consumers, which is what I should be working at. I think the fact of the matter is that we need a very healthy discussion on what are the duties and responsibilities of the regulators. We need a very informed way of assessing how these regulators perform and ensuring within the mandate of the Electricity Act, where the Act itself says appropriate governments need to take steps to attract regulatory personnel with required background, and the Government of India would promote the institutional capability to provide training, to raise regulatory capacity in terms of the required expertise and skill sets. Thank you.